What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Beyond Influence. I'm Kwame Appiah. I'm here with my co-host, Scott, and we have with us today somebody I'm very excited to talk to, one of the newest members of the Love is Blind crew, the pasta master himself.
Keep them coming.
We have with us today Nick Dorka. What's up, Nick? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. I hope you guys are doing suave too. Suave too, you know?
Awesome. And he's coming live from his cell phone, brought to you by Mama Dorka. So thank you.
That's a good one, man. Yeah, thank you, Mom. Thank you.
No, we love you. Thanks for coming on. We're really excited about this one. So many people, know you and came to love you throughout the process of Love is Blind. And, we just wanted to get to know you and see how life has been, unpack, what's happened post Love is Blind, maybe dive a little bit into what happened and how that's been for you. So, how's life? What have you been up to recently? How's kind of post Love is Blind treating you?
Yeah, it's been great, to be honest. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I like to keep things light. I'm the type to throw memes up about myself. It's been a really cool experience, and I think the cool part is there's so many different avenues that are going to open up for me in the next 1 month, 2 months to a year. And I was telling Quam kind of the other day, I'm one of those people who's very structured, right? And I like to know what I'm doing the next day, a month from now. And this is a period of uncertainty. A lot's going to kind of open up, and it's a blessing to use this platform and this experience to kind of just experience things I wouldn't have before. So, still doing real estate. We're watching my Commanders get that dub tonight against Philly. I got 29-27 Commanders. But just hanging out with my people and taking it all in.
That's awesome. What is the response been? I imagine with your kind of crew at home, it's like, the crew that knows you really well is there for you. How has that reception been kind of after everything aired?
It was crazier before it aired. a lot of secrets and hints and questions and stuff like that. But I'm actually very grateful that Netflix decided to come out with one of the deleted scenes of me and 3 of my boys and Hannah, because there were a lot of good moments when she met my sister and when she met my people that they didn't show. So my friends have all been supportive. The only person I was worried about was Mom. She wanted to make sure her baby boy was going to be okay. But she's been so supportive, and she was a boss on the show. She did her thing on the show.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Going through that experience myself, I had a mom who was, very, very focused on what the outcome was going to be for her son. You know what I mean? And I think it is interesting, right? Like you said, you were worried about Mom, the perception of everything, the protection of the making sure that everybody knows Mom is in the right, because ultimately Mom does want what's best for their baby boy. So yeah, no, I feel you, man. And obviously a lot of cool things have been happening for you. And I'm seeing, one thing I'm jealous of, can I be honest with you? One thing that I'm jealous of, man, is that Kaylani follows you. I'm very jealous of that, bro.
She told me when I want to pull up to a concert, let her know the concert, and she got me.
That is amazing. You're doing all these cool things. You're going to Ravens games, hopefully a Commanders game soon. What is one really, really out there thing that you would want to do right now that, shoot for the moon?
Yeah. So can I pick 2 things?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so one, I kind of want to be on Dancing with the Stars, right? I think I'm built for it with my Cuban background. And then 2, GQ and Vogue, where are you guys at? I would love to do runway. I'd love to do commercials. I'm really into, fashion and different styles, unique styles, and threw up a couple pics the other day, and they caught some buzz. Especially for women. So that'd be something really cool.
Yeah, before I pass it back off to Scott, you segued right to a perfect question because this is something we ask our guests occasionally. As you can see behind me, I've got my sneaker wall, which I'm disappointed in myself right now because I usually change up the sneakers, but today I didn't. But with that being said, as a man of fashion and style, a demure gentleman, what would you say is your favorite pair of kicks right now, or the kicks that you wore today?
I mean, Jordan ones, I got 10. Nah, I would say I got 7. I threw a couple of them out. I got 7 pairs of Jordan ones. Um, you know, I love a great Chelsea boot. I just love a great Chelsea boot. So that's a little different than a sneaker, right? Obviously with sneakers,
Yeah.
you can, mix and match and stuff like that. But, man, like I just got a pair of, another pair of Chelsea's in gray, and they look great. So I'm gonna have to go with that. But I have to say, I'm a little disappointed, Quam. You're from
Uh-oh.
DC, but you rep in Boston right now, man. Hey,
Let
so
me
so who do you want to win? Who?
No, hold on. Listen, hear me out. I have the Boston hat on. Well, our HQ's in Boston. And I went down one day and this is something you might be able to do at some point. I hit up the people at Fenway and I was like, hey, I would love to get a tour of Fenway. They took me around and then they pointed me to the store and I went in there and I got this hat that has the Fenway on the bottom. And look, as much as I wish I could be wearing a DC United hat right now, I will say ultimately this is probably one of the nicest hats I've ever owned. So I had to throw it on.
Yeah, there you go, man. Good answer. And Scott, where's the hat from? Because I think I have the same hat.
It's such a Travis Matthew golf hat. I think I have like 3 of them.
Yep.
But
Here, got the same exact hat, man.
yeah, I'm pretty simple. I just hoodies and black hats, and I'm not too complicated.
There you go. There you go.
So I love it. GQ. Yeah, nice Chelsea boot. I'm curious. After everything comes out, you're doing media. You're going around doing interviews. What's it been like to kind of transition from you're in the public eye on the show, now you're in the public eye like live in these interviews, and social media is blowing up. Like, how have you tried to approach all the attention, all the different asks of your time? I'm sure there's brands reaching out, just wanting to command your attention. How have you prioritized? And you still have real estate going on, and you're still trying to like prioritize family. Have you adapted to like all those different demands?
Yeah, I have. I would say the hardest part is just my schedule. Real estate isn't something where you have a set schedule 9 to 5. It's if someone hits you up that day and wants to see homes that night, there you go. I've had to implement a lot of Love is Blind stuff. I'm about to partner up with a managing agency. And just talking about all the different avenues and kind of what I want to pursue, who I want to reach out to. That's the different part. But honestly, I'm the same guy, man. It's been a lot of fun. Just going through the process, meeting people like you guys. If anyone wants to take a selfie, I'm the type of guy. I'm not, even if I'm in a bad mood, I'm gonna say, what's up? Of course, like send it to the group chat. So I haven't really changed up at all. But my schedule and budgeting time has been a little bit different. I can't sleep until 8 anymore. I got to wake up at 7 and get my workout in ASAP. But it's been really cool, man. I'm just blessed to have this opportunity, and I'm gonna build something sustainable with this platform.
Yeah, man. Before we get to the afters, I feel like we've gotten to like the I guess the results of everything. I'd love to just dabble a little bit on your experience from Love is Blind in itself, because as somebody who is an alumni myself, it's an interesting experience. I'd love for you to dive into how you felt about it as it was going on, and then how you were going about your life after. Like, how did it impact you since that time? What did you really learn from that experience?
Yeah, a couple things in particular I learned. Being open, not only with your partner, but yourself is super important. There were things that I kind of said to Hannah and, a couple people on the show that I've just been holding in. It feels great to be open. And, I would say my experience on the show was a lot of fun. I don't think I had a single bad moment. There was nothing that I had to complain about. Anything we wanted, we got. I'd seen previous seasons. I'd seen you and Chelsea do your thing. So I knew kind of, what I signed up for. I knew, what went into the show. But a lot of people, what I saw was they were changing up their personality a little bit, becoming, an inner shell of themselves. And for me, I didn't really think about it, but it just came natural just being on the show. And such a unique opportunity. You would hate to, look back in 10 years and be like, what if, right? What if I would have done that? Maybe I would be here instead of, sitting on my couch today. And I'm a risk taker, man. So life's about having fun, taking risks, betting on yourself, making yourself uncomfortable. That's pretty much what this show's about, right?
100%. And I'm curious, how did you come to the idea of being on the show or getting involved with the casting process? I'm always curious, like, you're just someone recommends you or you're on a whim. You're like, hey, this sounds fun. I want to do it.
Yeah, they slid in my DMs. I'm interested to hear how Quam got hit up.
Yeah, I'll touch over mine real quick. So mine's actually a lengthier story, but I'll try to trim it down to 30 seconds.
Yep.
I got hit up in 2018 when I came back from Sweden for the first time. I used to do some like modeling gigs for a friend of mine right before I left to go play soccer overseas. So when I came back, I was on the internet somewhere. But the coincidental timing was interesting because as soon as I got back, maybe like 2 to 3 months, I was living with my sister at the time, trying to figure out what my next step in life was going to be. Somebody hits me up out of nowhere and says, hey, would you ever want to get married like on a TV show? I was like, probably not. And it was a lady recruiting for a show called Married at First Sight.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I turned it down at first, and then my sister, who's a big fan of Married at First Sight, said, you know what, Kwame, go do it. I think it'll be, it's a new perspective on life. Right. At that point in time, there was no movement or motion in my life. Yeah. And so my sister said, look, go try this new experience. You might not get all the way through it or actually find a wife or whatever, but you will connect with people. And I connected with so many people. And that's one cool thing about any of this casting and any of this experience is that people think like the only thing you get out of it is the ultimate prize. And the ultimate prize was my wife, obviously. But a lot of the great parts of this experience lie in the other people that I met. Like I'm going to Vegas tomorrow with Marshall and Brett. Right. And so, yeah, right. So the purpose of it initially was really cool, just kind of thinking about doing. So I went through Married at First Sight. I'm in like 10 seconds of that because they did a whole squad casting filming day. And I got roasted on the internet for that for a while. But fast forward, the same studio that makes Married at First Sight is the same one that makes Love is Blind. And so they kept up with me for some time. And then they checked in with me when I moved to when I moved to Portland about a different show. It didn't align, but they said, hey, we might be casting for Love is Blind in Seattle. Would you be interested? And I was like, you know what? Love is Blind is actually the only reality show that I've ever watched in its entirety. Because at that point in time, I think like 2019, 2020, reality TV wasn't as big as it is now. It's massive now.
Massive.
Right? Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I'll try. I loved season 1. I loved Lauren and Cameron. I loved Mark. I love, all of them. I thought they were cool. So I thought I'd try it. And yeah, I ended up going through it, my 6 to 8 months of casting, all the interviews, all this, all that. And boom. So it all started from a call from a random lady about Married at First Sight. And here I am.
I mean, they wanted you bad, man. They hit you up three separate times. They're like, we want this guy. Yeah.
Hey, it worked out, right?
Yeah, man. That's crazy. Life works like that. It's the third go around where, you actually went on the show and you found your person.
Exactly.
You're kind of sitting where you are talking to us, from that. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's funny thinking about the process and just, I feel like it rolling up to like start the show. I would just be like, am I really doing this? Is this like really happening? But I don't, does it feel that way? Or like you've already gone through like 6 months of interviews and all this stuff, or is still like, I feel like it's like walking out of the tunnel and like, you're like, oh, I'm about to go play, in front of all these people. Am I just going to get rocked and destroyed?
Yeah. I know Quam knows the feeling before a game. You get nervous. It's a nervous, but it's the same feeling as when you're on the flight or once you touch down in LA and you're actually there, like, oh man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so funny. This is gonna end up becoming a Kwame interview too, because honestly, like that time was so crazy. The small story of when I got actually to LA, when I got on my flight, since Brett and I were the only two people from Portland, I actually walked past Brett and I looked at him before I got to my seat, and I was like, this guy's going where I'm going. I just know him. I know it in my heart. Yeah, right?
I got a funny story. So on the way to LA, Garrett's sitting behind me. Like in the big ass plane, Garrett's sitting behind me and he's talking on the phone real quiet to his friend. And like, he's being real secretive, but I know he's going the same thing I'm going to. So I turn around and I'm like, you really doing this? We've been boys, we talked the whole trip there, and yeah, that's funny. Similar to your story.
Yeah, it's funny. They have to fly out like the women on different flights. There's got to be some separation, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's like the men fly at a certain time and the women, because when I talked to Chelsea, she says like her flight was like way early in the morning, right? Like they make sure that like there's no possibility of overlap, even if there's a missed flight. So the women are getting there at like 6 a.m. and then the guys are getting there at like 12. Right. Yeah. And then you go to like separate hotels and all this stuff. But it is crazy because when you do get to that airport, when you do get to LAX, because everything is, filmed in LA, you go to baggage claim and you just know. I'm standing there and there's like at least 3 6'5" guys around me. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Start piecing things together for sure.
Yeah. So that initial was really crazy. And it just like, it hit me. I was like, wow, we're really about to do this.
Yep. And that's how it matters to you, right? You care is because you get nervous and you're questioning yourself. So
it's interesting. Kwame and I talk a lot about the edit and kind of the reality versus what shows up. And, I think with your story, there was, there's some like tough conversations, tough feedback and things with Hannah. Like going through the process, do you feel like actually living the relationship in the moment was worse, or is it like worse playing it back with the edit?
Worse playing it back for sure. But I just want to tell the people, man, I'm doing well. I was doing well after the show. Obviously, there are moments where some of you're in some hurtful situations. You hear some things you don't want to hear, but you got to take the high road, right? I was raised the right way, and I would never rebuttal or throw shade back at someone, and kind of stoop to that level. So it's like I kind of have thicker skin, and so it was so much different watching it back though, because it's like they'll pick, if you see it on TV, the show, they picked it for a reason. So just watching it back, like I was laughing at it, but it was a lot, and I think a lot of people think that it's people handle themselves in different situations differently, and I understand that, try and put myself in their shoes.
I mean, so as a man who, as we saw, likes to write out his goals, your 30, 60, 90s, now that you've gone through this experience, now that it's out to the world, now that you're starting to feel the impact of it, what would you say is your, current, it doesn't, maybe, give us your current 30.
Current 30. Okay, so that's going to bring us up right before Christmas, right? Okay. One of them I can't share.
Okay.
Yeah, so
is that like a GQ photo shoot that we
I'm not even gonna get it. So one of them was to definitely sign with an agency and get that ball rolling, so that when we hit January 2025, I've signed with companies or people or events, and we have a routine down, and we're doing good things. So, I just kind of sent them my long list of just opportunities that I would do. And I'm an open book. So even if it's like Trojan condom, I'll do a commercial for that, And so One of them was to sign with someone. And then the other one would be, I mean, if we're doing real estate, in the next 30 days, 2 homes. I have one under contract that's going to close next Monday. So that would, hit ending the year strong would mean a lot to me. And those are the 2 goals right now. I mean, get in the best shape of my life, learn how to boil some pasta. Can I add that? Can I add those?
100%. Yes, you can. For the people, you definitely want to add that.
Yeah.
This is going to make headlines. It's going to make headlines.
Yeah.
You heard it
Not
here
saying
first.
I needed it either, but thank you, Hannah. You made me most famous on Love is Blind. Right behind you, Kwam. I'm a close second.
I was going to ask on the real estate front, it's interesting. A lot of people, come in to an experience like this with a career, having an established kind of identity. And, you're obviously kind of back in the real estate game, diving in that. How has that shifted? And then like, when you think about your long-term plan, is it, you're going to kind of wait and see how things develop and make a game time decision? Or do you plan to really lean in on the real estate, help, bring all this kind of platform and notoriety you have and sink it into real estate? Or I guess, what's your current thinking there?
Yeah. So real estate for, the next couple of years is my focus. 100%. I want to do it as long as I can because I've worked hard to get to where I am now and been in the business 4 years and, really worked hard to develop my sphere and my clientele and put some content out there. So I don't want that to go to waste and honestly love it. But I'd be naive to think, hey, one of these opportunities, is going to try and pull you in that direction. And so, I'm not naive to the fact that like I could very well, be doing something completely different, in 3, 4, 5 years. But that's been the tough part. Like I mentioned earlier, it's just balancing out, the real estate and life and having fun and working out and the show and everything that kind of comes from it. It's a lot that you have to do to prepare, but, the better you kind of set yourself up and for success and manifest, what you want the next couple months to look like the better off you'll be.
Yeah. And I think it is really interesting. There's a couple things that I want to talk about is that, when you do come off of an experience like Love is Blind and you get put out into the light, the overnight celebrity aspect of it can be insanely overwhelming. Like too much to handle. So much so that when I think back to our entire cast, I think that within our main cast, maybe 2, definitely 1 person actually kept or decided to stay within the job that they were working. So if you're capable of doing that, it speaks a lot to your ability to like stay grounded and multitask. Because like I left my job at the time, Chelsea left her job at the time. Everybody that I know of except Brett left their job at the time, right?
That's
because there was just a point in time when I was working, trying to stay focused, and I'd hop on a meeting with like my CEO and we'd like make eye contact and he'd be like, yeah, you're tired. Like you're exhausted, because you're just so mentally drained. So I think, kudos to you for being able to do that. And I think one thing that I wanted to speak to for people who come off of, an experience like this, now that there's a lot more volume, right? Because people who go on reality TV, they make for a good transition to influencing or creator life because there's a couple of things, they're camera ready, they're confident, they have an audience now that relates to them and relates to them for who they are, not just for a specific niche. People love things about your life. They talk about you and your real estate. They'll talk to you about your fashion. They'll talk to you about, things that you joke about, like riding a duck, whatever the case may be, right? So I think that those things are really important. Your next steps, and we talked about this on the phone, when you get out and you want to become a creator, you do want to, identify what your potential opportunities are. You want to find an agency, hopefully a non-exclusive agency for that first 6 months. From there, you want to establish and see if there's actually like genuine opportunities that are being created out of this. And then from there, you want to try to leverage and grow your brand. So like, yeah, that first, 30 to 1 month to 3 months, 30 to 90 days or so. Yeah, I think you're correct there. Find an agency, establish that connection, see what opportunities they bring you, and then go on. Right. And so for your first few, weeks, now that you are out, have you actually found any cool opportunities? Have you, like done any brand deals yet? I saw one. We don't have to mention. I saw one brand deal today.
Yeah. I know you teased it.
Yeah, because I did that one too. I guess by the time this releases, the crowd would have already seen it and have been gone. But you did a teeth whitening one, didn't you?
Yep, for sure. There have been a lot of great opportunities, and you're going to see me post a little bit more for sure. There's about 7, 8 partnerships right now, and it's kind of cool to see how it works, right? Hey, you post twice and we'll give you $2,000 in posts. Bet, where do I sign up? Right. It's that's what I mean though. It's just, you never know who you're going to meet, right? In this situation, it's kind of like love. When you go looking for love, you never find it. Like an opportunity, maybe from the agency that I'll be working with, maybe from someone I meet in a month, might just change the course of your life, right? So kind of thinking outside the spectrum is something that I feel I'm pretty good at. And we talked about this as well, Kwam. I know you said, I wish I had someone there for me to kind of walk me through the experience once I got off that show. I wish I had some advice from someone like you were giving me. And, it's so true, man. I feel like I got a little bit of a head start because, we have had conversations about that stuff. And, you are a cool dude. I do trust your opinion. So, it's stuff like that's helped that much more for sure.
I think it's awesome. Like that's something we talk about, whether it's, reality TV or just coming up as a creator, this kind of, creators supporting creators. It is a challenging, it can be often at times like a challenging ecosystem to understand. And if you're coming at it with no prior knowledge, you're like, what's affiliate? What's a brand deal? Like, what are all these contract terms being thrown in my face? Should I work with this brand or not? Like, this is a really attractive contract, but I maybe don't love the brand. And you have to start making all these decisions. And so I think, it's great to have a mentor or, someone who's walked down there and maybe experience some of the negative things that can happen along your journey. Like aside from Kwame, like how much are you keeping up with the current cast, and like, are you guys, talking and strategizing how you're going to go out and game plan? Or are you kind of all each flying solo a little bit?
It's all solo,
Really?
It's all solo. It's, I've had so many people, I probably had 70 brands reach out. Right. But I've only chosen 7 or 8. And so, I talk with Tyler a lot. I talk with Garrett a lot. We have similar opportunities, but, I feel like if you're a product or a brand, you wouldn't want to, have me and Garrett doing teeth whitening, right? I feel like you want to choose one person and kind of run with that. So everyone's doing their own thing. Everyone's going solo, and it's just interesting because some people do need to hire a team around them to help get things done, and other people don't. Other people are going to have different opportunities, talk a lot more than other people, and so it's just cool to see how it all works. And learning some of the verbiage of, this industry, that we're in.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things to know. And, I think you made a good point. Like some people are flying solo, some people are doing it by themselves, some people are going to management agencies. In terms of me and what I accomplished, I thought it was better to go with a management agency, and I thought it was great to do it non-exclusive because it gave me an opportunity to take as many opportunities as I wanted to or could or fit on my plate. But I know, I know another guy from, I won't throw his name out until he gives me the validation that I can, but I know a guy from a different season who I talked to who decided he wasn't going to take on an agency, went out and found massive deals for himself. I'm talking like, I know he had one deal that he found that was a 6-figure deal, right? Which is like... which is unbelievable, right? Because there are some people who are just, they already might have had that savviness, or they did their research before it dropping, or they use some other people to leverage. But us being able to share that information was really important for me because I'm like, okay, if you can do this, maybe I can do it as well. I think it is really important for creators to be able to lean on creators within the same industry, right? You may not work with the same brands because brands might not double dip, and that's great. That's cool. But I will learn something from you that you got to do with a brand that will then make me think or inspire me to think, okay, you know what? Maybe I could find a brand like this, or I could get numbers or money like this as well. So there's always great inspiration when it comes to collaborating and, talking to your boys, seeing what they're doing, seeing what opportunities they're getting. And I will say, like, there was somebody from my season personally who at a certain point I was a little jealous of because he was getting just like crazy amounts of
All the love.
deals, all the love. But talking to him about his stuff did inspire me to know that, hey, you know what? This is within the realm of possibility for me. And it may not be happening now, but eventually, through the guidance, through the work, it is happening in this moment. And that's what's really important because talking to people who have been through this and talking to people who are going through it, it helps you understand that like your ceiling is much higher than you would have been able to understand just going through it by yourself.
So I'm curious, we talked a little bit about, dream brands to work with, maybe like GQ, photo shoot, what, if you were to say what particular brand, maybe outside of like a modeling gig or something like this, but if a brand was to come up to you and you're like, this would be it, this is tops, like this is the absolute number one brand that I would want to work with, who would that be?
I mean, there's 3 or 4 clothing brands that I picked out. There's that's a good one. I'm gonna say Titleist. I'm a big golfer. I love to golf. Been golfing.
Yeah, you're a scratch golfer, aren't you?
I'm a plus .07, so a little bit better. But
okay.
We're scratch. Yeah, that would be really neat, man. Because I've always really enjoyed golf, and a lot of my trips are around golf. So I'll go Titleist.
That's awesome. Golf influencing has just gotten crazy, like
crazy
YouTube scene. And it's interesting. I think like Titleist is out there, but TaylorMade is the one that's been crushing it on social. They have like the Kingdom, and then is it Trotty, who's like the golf fitter, and they're bringing out like Gabby the Golf Girl and Garrett and the guy, like the good guys, and there's just so many different golf influencers. And Rick Shields is doing all kinds of content in the UK. It's blown up. It's crazy.
Well, I know you're a golfer because you have a Travis Matthews hat, so that's
100%.
Just the golfer.
So it's funny on a story on that. Like my son, he's 6, but he plays a lot. He's got like a net in our house and is like hitting all the time. And he's watching on YouTube Kids, like all of the golfers, and he loves Rick Shields. And he's like, oh, Ricky Shields, like he's playing with these guys and that. So for his birthday last year, I did like a cameo with Rick Shields, and I sent Rick Shields like a video of Colton swinging and hitting a ball. And he went way over the top and like made a whole long video back and encouraging him to golf. And like Colton thought it was like the coolest thing he could ever imagine, that Ricky Shields from YouTube would like reach out. But I think that's where like maybe like on the good side of things, like being able to connect creators with like young folks who like want inspiration, who want someone to look up to. I just think there's so many cool avenues. And like, yeah, Cameo, like he's making money, but at the same time, like he went out of his way, given that request, given that, to make it something really, really special. And like so many cameos are cheesy and like, you can tell they're kind of half-assed, but like, I think when it's done right, it can be super, super meaningful. So
that's what I do with my cameos. I make them a minute long, maybe a little bit longer, right? Like I make sure to hit all their points. I make sure to put effort into it because, it means a lot to them, right? Like, I don't know really how to say it, but like, they look up to us in a way. If they're going to take the time and, show me support, show me love, reach out to me on Cameo. I mean, the least I can do is say what's up and, shout them out and stuff like that. And I take the time to do things like that, that and taking pictures with people, saying hi, just being nice. And, I know Quam's the same way. And Scott, I'm sure you're the same way. Like it's all love. It's all love until you give me a reason not to love.
Yeah, we'll see when they come out with real CEOs of Vancouver, Washington, how my public image will blow up. We'll see how that goes.
God, I love it. You know what, man? On the cameo note, I think that is a really, really good point, because I mean, you're paying for this service, and the cameo isn't a lot. It's like you can get one for like $30. And then you have on and up. I mean, like I think I had mine at like $60 for a little bit, but Chelsea and I created a combined account, and we've gotten some really cool requests from people. And I will say Chelsea is very mindful about the way that she approaches the things. Like if it's somebody's birthday, she makes sure to have like a glass of champagne. If they're 21 or over, she'll have a candle that will sparkle, will sing happy birthday. We had a really cool cameo where somebody asked us to say something to I think it was their parents. And once we sent it, they sent us back. Like, I mean, I think the cameo itself was like $45. And they sent us back a $25 tip, because they were like, my mom cried. Like, it was so special. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's funny. It's funny. Like, and typically they're cheesy or they're basic, but like when you get an opportunity to, and that's what I love about our current generation in society and influencer marketing, is 10 to 15, 20 years ago, there's no way you are getting Brad Pitt to send you something. You know what I'm saying? Like, right? Because we used to idolize only a small category of people. The Tom Cruises, the Brad Pitts, or the, whoever else, Steven Seagal, I don't know. Right? Like, we had this very small nook of people that we really idolized. And now, because of being creators and having people we relate to, that pool has grown so much larger. And it's really cool because as the pool gets larger, it seems like there's less separation from your everyday person to a famous creator. And because of that, it's made the connection so much better, to where people realize like, we're all just people. And so if somebody's taking time to spend some money on you, like, you got to make it special for them, regardless of what that is. Like, and it's only an extra 30 seconds or a minute from you that could make their entire day or week or month.
There you go. 100% agree. I cry every time Kwame sends me a video message. It's like a little tear. He just puts so much thought into it. Wow. No, I think it's a great point. It's so funny. I love, Nick, what you said. It's interesting because I think like if you build an audience organically, like you rely on them and you're like so hungry, and it's like those 100 followers, the 500 followers, as you grow, it's like they mean so much on your journey. And so to like come off of a show where it's like all of a sudden you have like this huge audience, I think a lot of people, I look at, some folks who are on reality TV shows or like Real World or Road Rules, and they just like kind of crapped on the audience, and they just like had this ego. And it was like, oh, I don't need you. I'm like, Jersey Shore, whatever kind of vibes. And I just think people realizing that these people are invested in them, they want to engage, they are human beings also, and like being a little bit humble about it. I think that is what creates like durability and builds relationship. And then, continuing to create content and engage the audience. It's such the right way to go about it versus, getting some inflated ego or just, telling people, oh no, I can't take a picture with you, or why would you bother me? It would be so easy to do that. Like walking around with Kwame, it's like, I can't walk down the street without like having to wait and like take pictures for him. And that would get old, but I think the patience is super meaningful.
Yeah, 100%. I met someone today in the elevator, 35 years old, I'm 29, and he recognized me from the show. He's like, hey man, you live here? Like, we were having such a good conversation that like I hopped off on his floor and, talked for 5 more minutes. And at the end, he was like, you know what? Like, I didn't even realize you're just a normal dude. Like, you're a good guy. And it's so true, right? Just because we're put on this pedestal doesn't mean we all have things we got to work on, or we've been through shit, or got a couple red flags, or do this and that, right? Like we're all human, and that's why at the reunion, I kind of go out of my way to, say, hey guys, like, talking to the public, like Hannah's been through a lot. It's not right, though, some of the things you're saying. Like, she's a good person. I'm that type of way. And it's like, a lot of people don't realize that, we're the same normal dudes.
And I appreciate you for doing that, man, because I'm just going to keep it 100. You're a better man than me. Because at that reunion, I would have gone off to some degree, man. But I saw the humility. I saw the patience, and Garrett was right for commending you in that. I think it was Garrett. Yeah, he was like, yeah, like I admire your patience, because I do think like at that point in time, it's really tough when you're at a reunion and all the lights are on you, and there's a crowd on you, and you know like it's being recorded and it's going to go out to the world, and every single person is saying something about you. Like, it's really tough to contain yourself, stay humble and stay calm, because I forget his name, the sleep study guy,
Steve.
um Steve. Yeah, like when Steve like just opened his mouth and said something, I would have gone off on Steve.
I, I said, Steven, I didn't talk to you in Mexico, so I don't know
Yeah,
where you from. And that's true,
yeah,
but yeah, no, I mean, if I can handle that, you
yeah,
know,
you can handle
on,
anything.
on that stage, I can handle anything. And, man, like,
Yeah,
first kind of see the stage and like all the seats up there, and they're bringing kind of some guests back. You're like, oh shit, it's like big stage, right? They got photographers and a runway, and like it's the real deal. So
yeah,
it can be a
yeah.
lot.
I would say that that's definitely the most pressure that you feel like in a situation or circumstance in relation to Love Is Blind, right? Because you get an opportunity to have a bunch of interviews, and they definitely put a lot on you. But I would say being scared of any word or sentence that you utter out coming out the wrong way or being used against you in some way, that is the scariest moment, right? Because every camera is on you. So I give a lot of people like I give a lot of kudos to people who are able to be up there, and I think it was interesting for us. We tried to do the live interview or the live reunion, and
Mm-hmm.
it didn't pan out live, but it was recorded live, so there were no retakes or anything. I actually say that we were the lucky ones, because I know for other uh, reunions, you might go through the same conversation a couple times, and that
That's what happened with Hannah. Like, and I say union, but it's not shown. I say some other things that aren't shown, right? Like we retook Hannah and I did our scene. We broke for 30 minutes for a little break, and I get back in my seat, and Nick Lachey's like, "All right, we're about to revisit this one part," and then like they turn to Hannah, and like Hannah, like so, and start talking about what we just talked about 30 minutes ago. Thinking they're like, they're talking about me, and so yeah, we retook that. They used the second footage because I guess Hannah got her point across a little bit better, a little
mm,
bit more direct. Um,
mm,
I didn't realize that was an actual thing until it happened. So there's a lot that kind of catches you off guard, but a live one would have been better for
I
sure.
can't imagine having like arguments 2 times for like,
imagine.
hey, you didn't roast him hard enough. Could you please be a little bit more direct in like beating him down? Thank you.
Well, all I could the first time, no one else came at me other than Hannah, and the second time, a lot more people. So
You
Yeah, it
hear that,
makes for good
Steven? We got
drama.
beef.
yeah, but I could take that stuff, right? Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
listen to your opinion, and I never called Hannah a grenade. I did have talks, with Ramses and Garrett, behind closed doors, and all everyone there thought that everyone's looks were a little underwhelming, right? It's just, and the other thing is it's God talk, man. It's God talk. If I'm gonna tell you something as my boy, I expect you to keep it between.
Yeah, that is one thing I was a little surprised about with this reunion. And I think the bond overall is like, I felt like the women this season were very connected. And I feel like
It's actually the opposite, bro. It's at the stop.
so it
There's
seemed like it from where I was, because it seemed like everyone kind of ganged up on you, right? Whereas the guys, it felt like apart from Garrett taking that moment to be like, "Hey, I think this is an immature conversation. We should move on." Which, by the way, I love Garrett, man. I love that.
for Team Nick, so that's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. But apart from that, like everybody took a moment to try to break you down, and I was like, "Well, that's a little strange." I mean, even if it was said when you have guy moments or girl moments for the most part. Like you never use guy leverage against guys. You never use girl leverage against girls. Like that's the unspoken rule. So I thought that was that was an interesting part of that experience that I got to view.
For sure. Yeah. And I had tea too. I just didn't want to spill it. I'm not that type of man to make a messy situation messier. So some people are lucky. That's all I got to say.
Oh, well, this has been an amazing conversation. It's gone so many directions. I love it. But no, I like, it's great to hear that you're doing well. You're staying connected with the family, leaning into real estate. Super stoked to see what comes next. Some of these big announcements. And it's just great to hear, you got your head on straight and life's headed in the right direction. I think that's all we could ask for. So
yeah. Do you have any parting words for the people who are watching this? Any, you know what? The audience is vast. It could go to your fans, your community. It could go to a brand. Who would you want to say it to, and what would you want to say?
All right, I'm just gonna start spitballing. I haven't put any thought into this, but if you're in the DMV, DC, Maryland, VA, Dorka Real Estate, my great team, the AAA real estate team, we're here to serve you guys at the highest level. Just as the fans and you guys know, like, I take my stuff serious. I want to get to know you. If you're a potential buyer or seller, I do a ton of rentals, right? My sphere is now just starting to make that leap into home ownership. So like I mentioned, real estate is that's what football was. It's what football was to me, So Dorka Real Estate right here. I'll probably be dropping some merch, some What the Duck merch. And I'm also thinking BDE, Big Dorka. So the merch is coming. I got some cool content coming up. And I want to say, Scott and Kwam, appreciate you guys for having me. You guys are great dudes, and I'm looking forward to the next time we talk.
I cannot wait to wear those shirts on the podcast. It's gonna be a great day.
You guys have my personal. Just let me know.
100%. Well, look, man, it was a great conversation. I know we're all golfers here, some better than others. Maybe I'm sure we'll hit the course someday. We might do a giveaway. I don't know. Come golf with Kwame, Scott, and Nick. We'll see, right?
We would kill that.
I'm telling you. So, hey, all in all, thank you so much for joining us today, Nick. We learned a lot from you, and I think it's funny, we usually go a lot more in depth with the influencer marketing side, but it was good today to just talk Love is Blind, because I haven't really gotten a vent about it in a long time. So I appreciate you giving me the space to do that, man.
Yeah. Was it nice to get, it off your chest and talk about it 4 or 5 months, right?
Exactly. So with that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you loved this conversation. We are very, very excited to put it out. And hey, we will see you next week. Bye.
See ya.